You see that shriveled up man being exiled by his own people? Believe it or not, that's me, Nicholas II, Czar of Russia. Now you're probably wondering how my life got to this point, but you'll understand the unfairness of it all once you hear my story. My name is Nicholas II, and this is me drawing my story. My initial plan was to capture Manchuria and Korea from the savage and weak country of Japan. This defeat would be an easy task for the great country of Russia. The land would be beneficial to our country, making it an even greater power. But by some miracle, the uncivilized Japanese were able to slightly injure my army, but like any great ruler, I sent them back to take what is rightfully ours. However, they were beat many more times by the Japanese army. My people became very angry and even revolted against me. They did not understand that it was not my fault. As a great leader, I made an effort to better our situation. After such an unfair loss, my plan was to industrialize Russia and get it to its greatest potential. One of the many types of new technology included the biggest railroad system and factory of mass production. The progress was incredible, and Russia, now making up for the economic loss of the war, was finally able to show its greatness. Despite the great economic growth that we were able to achieve, my own people of Russia went against my game-changing plan of industrialization. They complained of long work hours and poor conditions, but they failed to understand that greatness comes with hard work. Out of frustration, I sent out my soldiers to put back in line all the protesters who were against me and therefore against our country. The attack was necessary to maintain peace within the productive factories. I was just looking out for my country. The amount of uprisings left me in a tight position. To please the people, I had to create a Duma to avoid any more conflict, but it was all just for show. After 10 weeks, I realized that the Duma was not allowing me to do all the reforms and improvements that I had planned to better Russia. Because of this, I had to get rid of them and return to my absolute power that has worked for me and, most importantly, my people all this time. My people were worried when we had to defend our allies in World War I. But in order to reassure them of our power, I decided to go to the war front myself, as a powerful Tsar I am. I left my wife, Tsarina, in charge of Russia. She would not let me down, and it was a perfect plan to bring back morale at the war front. There is no real explanation for the result of my reign, but I can easily say that my own people were being unreasonable with me and unfairly.
Actually, that's not quite what happened.
No, this is how it actually went down.
The mistake started with the Russo-Japanese War. Not only were we not prepared industrially for war, but there was no reason to put our people in danger for Caesar's own selfish needs.
The Japanese annihilated us. As soldiers, we were embarrassed, and as a country, we became a laughingstock, with our weakness exposed to all the great powers of Europe. The Japanese were brutal, and as a country, we seemed to have fallen into depression.
The Caesar's plan for industrialization seemed too good to be true. He convinced us the new products we were making would give us a better life overall.
This was all a lie, and the people of Russia became overworked and starved even more than before the shiny new factories were built.
Concerned with the well-being of Russia, us workers were fed up with the mistreatment and decided to step up and protest against our Caesar.
The Tsar was afraid of the amount of people against him and sent us to kill the workers who were outside protesting.
I hated every minute of the attack. We were forced to kill our own hard-working people and attack them brutally. Overall, it was a disaster.
In order to please the majority of the people, the Tsar decided to create the Duma. Of course, we were happy, to have a say in the government, and it overall seemed like the best thing to happen for Russia.
Now we were finally able to give our local people a voice in their country, especially now when there is more hunger and poverty than ever before.
The Tsar refused to listen to us. He refused to pass most of the reforms we were suggesting. And obviously we were suggesting it to better the country, but he didn't want to hear it. He did what he wanted to do, like he always does.
After 10 weeks of having the Duma in place, the Tsar eliminated us and went back to his old and non-functional way of ruling. The people of Russia no longer even had the chance to get their voice heard by Nicholas.
We were predestined to lose the war, yet the Caesar forced us to go out again with no chance of winning. All the soldiers were starving and lacked the basic supplies for war, such as proper clothing and weapons.
The Tsar himself arrived at the war front expecting us to miraculously win. He left behind a whole country.
My husband left me behind while he was at the war front to, control Russia and do what I possibly could. But there was a lot of problems building up in Russia already. And it was hard, extremely hard, trying to take care of Russia, control it, make sure everything goes as smoothly as it possibly could. And taking care of my ill son, it was just a lot for me to juggle at the same time. And I couldn't. I needed help. I desperately needed help.
I found Alexandra looking for a cure for her son, and I was able to help her son get well again, and became an important factor of the Czar family. I saw that Alexandra was struggling to simmer down the conflict that was going on all across Russia, so I became a key factor in the decisions made for Russia.
Bash really helped a lot. He was there for me when I was in most need of help, and he introduced new members to our government who he believed would be beneficial, and I needed all the help I could get at this point. Everything was just not going right, and I just needed help. So I was on board with it.
I then brought in friends into the government who weren't very qualified for their positions, but no one could really go against my actions because the Tsar and his family had put a lot of trust into me. Noblemen took notice of the power that I had gained, plotted to kill me, and they succeeded by shooting me and pushing me into a river. I died due to drowning.
And due to the Tsar's poor decisions, abuse of his people, and weak leadership, we overthrew and exiled him.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of all the weaknesses and shortcomings that the Tsar had. The end.